Striker Scorpion 82 is now sponsored by Warhammer Combat Cards, a card battle game featuring your favourite Citadel miniatures from the 40k universe. Build your army decks, dominate opponents in player versus player action, collect and upgrade cards to fit your strategy, improve their power and unlock unique traits. Choose from all 40k factions, take part in campaigns based on iconic 40k battles, rise to the top of the leaderboard and win glory. Free to download and play, link is in the video description below or on the channel homepage, and by using the unique link it helps support the channel. Thanks and enjoy the game. Right, welcome to this Necron Tactica video. This is to go alongside my Necron Complete Army video. So if you want to see the full list and all the units and explain the whole reason why I've taken all the different units and loadouts for my Necron list, then check out that video. But this video here is about 5 units in particular, my top 5. And obviously everyone's got their own opinions about which Necron units are the best, but I'm going to pick the top 5 that I use, ones that I would heartily recommend that you use for your own Necron force. So there's a number of elements, partly like competitive, you want to do well in games, and then also taking units that I really enjoy painting up and using in games as well, and like to see them being represented on the table. So there's 5 units. We'll start with the number 5 first, and then work my way through to my top choice. If you have your own suggestions, you want to change the order around or add in units that I haven't discussed in this video, then leave that in the comment section below, and then other Necron players, perhaps people who are thinking of starting collecting Necrons or have just started collecting Necrons, they can have a look at your comments as well, pick up advice there about how to build an effective Necron force. I think Necrons are very, very strong. They have an excellent codex. I think my favourite at the moment for 9th edition. A fantastic range of models and a whole lot of new stuff sculpted by Games Workshop. So as I've said before, I think now is about the best time to collect Necrons. Now a lot of people have started collecting Necrons and very much enjoying collecting that army. So what's the best units to go for? We'll go through the top 5 here in this video. So number 5 is Catacomb Command Barge, Necron Overlord and a Catacomb Command Barge here. So I take him as my warlord in my list. Is Tamon Ra is his name. I'll go through the stats and talk about all the upgrades and things that I go for, and you can, because it's a character, so there's upgrades, relics, warlord traits and so on that you can build up to make this unit even better. So that's the idea with this HQ. And the great thing about him first off is it's a non-named character, so you do have that flexibility to make your own changes and so on. But Catacomb Command Barge, a number of strong reasons why I go for this HQ choice. We'll cover points costs as well. I have it down on my list. So you're starting off at 145 points, which is pretty cheap for a decent HQ, and then you can build up your upgrades on top of that. So 145 points, you're getting movement 12, so immediately you've got a fast moving unit around the board. Weapon skill and ballistic skill 2+, which is fantastic. Strength 5, toughness 6, pretty durable. 9 wounds, so it's a very high amount of wounds for a character, but he'll still get the lookout search. You can tuck him behind units and keep him safe. So that's one of the strong reasons for taking him. It's a model that you can shelter behind other units, and it's difficult for the opponent to get to them. And that's very good for being such a high wound model. 4 attacks, it used to be 3, so they've got an extra attack compared to what they used to have, and then leadership 10 and a 3+ armor save. Now then we start getting into, I'll cover abilities here first of all. So living metal, so if he loses a wound, start the command phase, and the next turn he'll gain a wound back each turn. You've got the command protocols, so he's able to help out, that giving those benefits each turn to units nearby. My will be done, which is a brilliant ability. In your command phase, so at the start of your turn, you can select one friendly dynasty core units, usually units like Necron Warriors for example, within 9 inches of this model. So he's actually got an 18-inch, 9 and 9, 18-inch bubble across there, so it's a nice reach. So usually in games at the start of the battle, he'll be hanging around the middle of the table, just around units, getting ready to bless them. So my will be done. a core unit within 9 inches until the start of your next command phase. So it lasts for your turn all the way through to the start of your next turn. So you're going to get it in your opponent's turn as well. You get an extra +1 to attacks. And that's in close combat and for shooting. So all of a sudden 20 Necron warriors go from ballistic skill 3+ to 2+. It's a massive benefit. So it's another big reason for taking him. So add protection. He's easy to hide behind you. It's difficult for your opponent to get to. And then this ability here, the My Will Be Done ability, is superb. Now for my list, I pay 2 command points for Hand of the Pharaon. And that means he gets that My Will Be Done twice in a turn. So my 2 large units of Necron warriors, he can bless both in the one turn. All of a sudden I've got 20 warriors, another 20 warriors, all at 2+ weapon skill, ballistic skill. It's huge benefit there. So the real core HQ choice for your army. And so far those abilities that I've talked about is still sitting at 145 points. Just pay an extra 2 command points before the game begins. We've got Relentless March, so core units within 6 inches get an extra inch to their movement. And Advancing, which just speeds up the ground troops a little bit more, which is a welcome bonus. And then further protection for him is Quantum Shielding. So the rules have changed now for 9th edition, this codex. This model has a 5+ in1 save, so that is very, very helpful. In addition, each time an attack is made against this model, unmodified wound rolls of 1 to 3 always fail, irrespective of any abilities the weapon or attacker may have. So he finds himself in combat against something that's very strong, it's still going to be forced to wound, no matter what the strength and abilities are. So that is a good level of protection for him there. He hovers and explodes. So, you know, the main rules here, the stat line rules and abilities, I think are very, very strong for this choice. So those are the reasons then. Protection, it's quite easy to hide and protect, it's difficult for the opponent to get rid of him. And these massive bonuses that he's able to give the My Will Be Done is exceptionally good. So there's others that do it, you know, Necron Overlord will do it on foot. What you're gaining here is a lot more wounds. You've got 5 wounds on this guy, 9 wounds on him, a lot more speed, 12-inch move instead of a 6-inch move. So all of those things building up to make this a very good choice to go for. So that's as he comes. We'll talk about what you can add on to make him better. Now, by all means, if you've got a different loadout to me, then leave that in the comment section. I'm interested to hear what other combinations people go for. But the first thing I take is I stick with the Gauze Cannon. So, you know, he's counted as a vehicle, but now for 9th edition there's no minus when you move. So he's going to be hitting on 2s, and with the Gauze Cannon, range 24, heavy 3, so guaranteed 3 shots every time, hitting on 2s, strength 6, AP minus 3 and D3 damage. It's a good sort of Primaris Marine killing shooting weapon, that one. So very, very good. Some go for Staff of Light, it's another shooting weapon, assault 3, range 18, strength 5 minus 2, 1 damage. But I take the War Scythe for him. That's the one that I go for. Usually he'll find himself in close combat. Sometimes he'll be taking on another character, or he'll need to go into another unit to try and protect the gun line. He's obviously not my main close combat unit. I'll try and keep him safe, but sometimes I love to jump out and help units out. So I want him to be able to fight in close combat. So give him the War Scythe. So the Gauze Cannon, you do have to pay 5 points for that. I think it's worth it. And then the War Scythe, you have to pay 5 points for that as well. So you're getting +2 strength. So you're now fighting at strength 7 in close combat with 4 attacks. AP minus 4, so it's going to glide straight through power armor. And then damage 2, again it's a bit of sort of Primaris killing ability with that. So the War Scythe's okay. But I'm not going to lean on him too much for close combat. He's okay in close combat, but I don't want to throw him out there and be too overconfident with him and then lose him, because once he's destroyed, you're going to lose all your abilities. So that the main aim for him is to stay alive and then be wise if he does go out and fight in close combat. He's not required to lead the charge, don't need him to do that. The main purpose for him is to take advantage of these abilities, especially if you're paying 2 command points for the Hand of the Pharaon. You want to be able to use that ability as much as possible during the game. So I do pay the points for a Resurrection Orb on him. So he's got the manoeuvrability to get where he needs to around the table. He can move nice and quick. And then with Resurrection Orb, you do have to place him in the right spot. Previously, it's once per battle in the command phase. You can't move and use this. you need to be set up at the start of your turn. So what that means for my army is that I'll have my main core units set up, and then he'll need to hang around those units, and multiple units, because I don't know where the opponent's going to damage my units. So he needs to be near as many units as possible, and at the start of the turn, wherever that damage has come in, then you can activate his resurrection. It's always paid back its points. It's 30 points to take it, but I think whenever I've used it, it's always paid way above the cost in points. For example, you resurrect 10 Necron warriors, that's 130 points that you've resurrected back, and it's only cost you 30, so it is a bargain in that regard. So, and it can be a game changer, especially late stage of the game. You've got a really damaged unit of Skorpekh destroyers, you've got one model left, for example, and then all of a sudden you try and resurrect 5 and 3 of them get back up. It's huge. So I very much rate the resurrection of it. It's well worth carrying into battle. Haven't used it in every game, but when I've needed it, it's been there. Once per battle in your command phase, the bearer can use its resurrection orb. If it does select on friendly dynasty units, it doesn't have to be a core unit. That's the great thing about the resurrection orb. It could be Skorpekh destroyers, for example. You could try and resurrect them. You select one dynasty unit within 6 inches of the bearer. So you've got to be close to these target units. Not at its starting strength, and has not had its reanimation protocols enacted this phase. The unit's reanimation protocols is enacted, and every destroyed model in that unit begins to reassemble. So it's got a chance to roll up for all of the models. Obviously not going to get all of them back up, but it's going to give you a large pool of dice. Say you've got a unit of 20 Necron warriors, 15 have been destroyed, the unit's severely damaged. You're going to get 15 dice, 5 pluses rerolling ones, you're going to get 5, 6 of them get back up, and all of a sudden you've got a squad that's in much better shape. So I take the resurrection orb. So I've chopped and changed with this relic. I'll talk about it here because it is very useful. It's Orb of Eternity. So basically it replaces the regular resurrection orb, which just costs you the cost of taking a relic, but it's +1 to the reanimation protocol rolls. So instead of 5+ to reanimate, it's going to become 4+. Very, very helpful for Necron warriors. 4s to resurrect, rerolling 1s is very reliable for getting models back up again, and Skorpekh destroyers, it's going to help those reassemble as well, just as that's the kind of units I'll be trying to resurrect during games. So Orb of Eternity, if you can, that relic I think is worth taking. So at the moment we've got a model that's excellent buffs ability, difficult to get rid of because his character hidden away. He's okay in close combat. If I need him, then I can call upon his help, and then a further buff in the form of the resurrection orb. So there's a lot of stuff going on with him, and I've been talking about close combat, a little bit of firepower as well. I've been talking about close combat. He does better when I resist the urge to throw him into close combat, because often he finds himself in trouble, or he moves out away from his units he's meant to be helping, and then his abilities are limited or lost whilst he's out fighting close combats and so on. So usually I try to control myself and keep him amongst my army for the first half of the game perhaps, and you feel that you should be pushing up. I need those abilities during the early stages of the game, and then maybe later on when the coast is a bit more clear, enemy units have been destroyed and there's not as much threat, he can then move out and do mopping up actions and engaging units in close combat and so on. So that's the idea here, a bit of a measured approach with him, but I think it's appropriate. If he's the warlord, he wouldn't be reckless on the battlefield, but need to prioritise commanding the units under his command. So he's pretty well upgraded, and I do give him a warlord trait. He's the warlord anyway, so I give him a warlord trait. I run Mefrit Dynasty, so I take the Mefrit Dynasty ability here. Now, it's just, he's going to find himself in close combat, and if I need him to be in close combat, I need him to be pretty good. So with a warlord trait here, +1 strength, now fights at strength 8 with the war scythe. It's very useful, giving you 2s to wound against toughness 4 targets, 3s to wound like a toughness 7 vehicle, so that strength 8 is always useful, and he gets an extra attack as well. So 5 attacks just makes him a little bit more potent, potential to cause 10 wounds with the war scythe. There's others, but I just take that one just to give him a little bit of a boost in close combat. And that's it. That's as far as I take him. Obviously check out the comment section. If you're an experienced Necron player, then leave your own comments and suggestions. If you have a loadout that works really well, it may well be from a different dynasty, but leave that in the comment section below. But that's my 5th choice here, number 5 in our countdown here for the Necron units that I think everyone should have in their army. I found it to be exceptionally useful. Times when he hasn't done well, it's when he's been slain early on in the game, so that's the key. Keep him alive, be sensible, and just try and use as much of the abilities that come from him as possible. And then when the coast is a bit more clear and you think you're going to win a combat, you know, it's very much stacked in your favour, then swing him out and he can mop up units, no problem. That's the best way I use him. I know there's others that take, I'll show you it here. It's a relic. Yeah, I think it's yeah, it's the shooting options. You can give him Staff of Light. Some make him into a shooting platform. So there's 2 options. You can go for close combat based and tuck him behind your lines and then jump him out when you need to, or always keep him behind your line and just use him as a gunboat, as a shooting support. Both I think are good. I need a little bit of close combat in the list, so I go for the close combat option with him, but you can go for a shooting platform because he is 2+ to hit, so well worth loading up some decent firepower. So there's a couple of options here. Yeah, there's this one. So you've got Solar Staff, but this is for Nephrek Dynasty only. Staff of Light only, you swap it out and take this relic. Staff of Light is range 24, assault 6, it's loads of shots, strength 5, -2 and 1 damage. That one's okay. In close combat you still get strength user AP -2 and 1 damage. Each time attackers may with this weapon against an infantry unit, if a hit is scored until the end of the turn, the unit's blinded. Blinded units cannot fire Overwatch or set to defense. A bit of a bonus with that. That one's okay. The other one's the Voltaic Staff. Remember, you're getting this in combination with the shooting weapon he's already got, like a Gauss cannon for example. Voltaic Staff is range 18, and this is for any dynasty. It's just model with a Staff of Light. Assault 4, strength 6, -2, 2 damage, so really good. In close combat it's actually pretty good. +1 strength, so fight strength 6, -2 and 2 damage. That's actually a pretty good one. Each time an attacker is made with this weapon, an unmodified hit roll of 6 scores 2 additional hits. So I would say if you're up against Primaris a lot, that is a very good weapon to take. Does give you a bit of a bite in close combat. Not too bad at all actually. And then for shooting, very good as well. That is a very good option. So that's well worth considering as well. That's the combination I've gone for. We'll move on. So that's the Catacomb command barge. I'll swing him round and park him up just there. So my next choice is, there's going to be mixed opinions on this one. But I think this, for my list, I take this model. It's the Royal Warden. So it's the model that came with the Indomitus box set. Brilliantly sculpted by Games Workshop. Superb pose on the model, brilliant idea, great. The concept is great, sculpt wise and then model wise as well. And he plays a vital role in my Necron force. Just couldn't drop him from the list. Desperately needing my Necron army. And really it's the main reason is the ability which we'll cover, and then also I've equipped him with a very good shooting option as well for him. I don't think he's that popular amongst Necron players, which I'm quite surprised by, because I find him to be very, very useful in my current Necron list. But what you get here is the Royal Warden. 70 points I think for him. Just check, yeah, 75 points. 75 points for the Royal Warden. For that you're getting movement 6, weapon skill, ballistic skill 3+, strength 5, toughness 5, 4 wounds, 3 attacks, leadership 10, 3 up saves. Your stat line's okay, it's tough enough, toughness 5 and 4 wounds. He comes equipped with a relic Gauss blaster, so range 30, rapid fire 2, so at range 15 he's going to get 4 shots. I do wish he was ballistic skill 2+, but never mind, AP -2 and 2 damage to get a bit of Primaris killing ability of that weapon. Living Metals is going to restore a wound. Command Protocols is handy to have near your unit choices to help out with those abilities. He does get Relentless March, that's +1 to the movement for core units nearby as well. But this is the main reason why I take him, Adaptive Strategy. So in your command phase, so again, you want to keep him near as many core units as possible. So if you've got 1, 2, 3 core units, then keep him within range of all of them, because you don't know which one you're going to need to give the power to. In your command phase, you select one friendly Dynasty core unit within 9 inches of this model. So again, it's a nice 18-inch aura for him, good stretch. Until the end of the turn, that unit is eligible to shoot and declare a charge in a turn in which it fell back. And there's no penalty to that, no minus to hit rolls or anything like that. That unit gets to fall back, let loose of its firepower at full effect, and then charge on top of that as well. I think it's an exceptionally powerful ability for him. Now, with my Necron army, and the way 9th edition works now, you've got to go aggressive and push out to the middle of the table, or push out into objectives as quickly as possible. I've found in games it's a big struggle to try and win a game if you've held back for even one turn. You've just got to move out so quickly. And so with Necrons, there's a lot of units that don't really do so well in close combat. Necron Warriors, for example, Necron Immortals. They're units that if they get tapped out in close combat, they're losing their ability to shoot, and that's a big downer for the Necrons. So he plays a vital role. If I've got a unit of Necron Warriors that's bogged down in close combat, at the start of the command phase, I can pull them back out of close combat, and then at close range, they can then let loose with a volley and even charge if they need to as well. So I think it's a very, very powerful ability indeed. Now there is a command protocol that lets you do that, but you're only getting that for 1 out of 5 turns during the game, and you've got to try and judge which turn you think you're going to need it. It is -1 to the hit rolls as well. But for him, he's getting it the entire game on any of the turns, and time and time again in games that I've played with the new Necrons, this role warden has been a massive help, game changer. The ability to pull back a unit that would have been bogged down in combat. For example, Necron Warriors, you're getting yourself unit of 20 in combat, pull them out, all of a sudden you've got 20 shots or 40 shots at a close range. Deadly stuff, and just all because of his ability. So the role warden, I think is here, deserves to be in this countdown here for the best Necron units. If you agree or disagree, leave it in the comment section. I'm interested to hear what people say about the role warden. I take Mefrit Dynasty, so he's even better. His range on his weapon is improved by 3. At close range or rapid fire range, he gets an extra AP -1. And then I also combine that to make him even better. I take a relic on him as well. I think it's unique to Mefrit Dynasty. So it's called Conduit of Stars. Yeah, it's Mefrit model only. It replaces the Relic Gauze Blasters. The Relic Gauze Blaster is really good, but Conduit of Stars becomes range 36, an extra 6-inch range. Then Mefrit on top of that, range 39. This guy all of a sudden becomes. You've got an infantry model that's able to kick out some decent firepower at long range. It bumps up the rapid fire to rapid fire 3, so 3 shots at long range instead of 2, and 6 shots at rapid fire range instead of 3. So massive improvement. Oh, instead of 4, sorry. Now his rapid fire range is 19.5 inches. So I'll often find myself, because I'm going aggressive, the Necrons are pushing up, he'll often find himself within that closer range to get those 6 shots. Strength 6, -2, 2 damage. He finds himself within half range, it's AP -3. And often what I've found with him, so he works in 2 ways. During the battle, this is another HQ choice that I want to bury in amongst my core units, and he just hides away, doesn't do anything else, just sits in with those units protected. The key is to keep him alive for the entire game. And then he'll regain his points, the 75 points, by killing models with his shooting, and then he'll go above and beyond what I've paid for in points by helping units pull back and shoot. So his contribution to the list is massive, usually in games. Usually does a very, very good job. Again, similar to the Catacomb Command Barge, the downside with him is if he gets slain early on in the game. You've got to watch out for things like snipers and sneaky psychic powers and so on, just to try and keep him alive for as long as possible. But my battle line moves forwards, he moves up with them, on the lookout to help units pull back, and he just fires as he goes, letting off shots, picking off wounds, and destroying models as the game goes on. So that's the Royal Warden. Big fan of that HQ choice. I'm very happy to have him in the list. It's one of the brand new models, superb model from the Indomitus box set as well. So we'll keep going. I'm going to show you models that I have so that I can talk about how they've helped me in my games. If there's models that I don't have, I can't really talk from experience about them. So there's models in here, in this codex I don't have, or units that I don't have, that I know are very, very good. So if I haven't covered certain models, then again, leave it in the comment section. And for the Void Dragon, for example, I know it's a very good model. Silent King, you talk about that. So lots of options to go for. And it's the great thing about Necrons, they pretty much, maybe not doubled, but the options for them are just huge now. Loads of really good choices to go for. Right, so the next choice, perhaps controversial. I think all my choices are going to have some controversy to them, but I've gone for a fast attack option here. And again, for my particular list, this is a unit that's worked very, very hard and has performed very, very well. But there's certain tweaks and things you can do to get the best out of them. It's Tomb Blades. So, big fan of the models. I think they're an excellent concept. Just absolutely brilliant. I take a unit of 6 of them. So I'll just put them out here. I think you can go for units of 9. So look here, yeah, 3 to 9. So you can go for larger blobs of them. Necrons having decent leadership, it's possible to go for larger amounts of these. And the combination I go for, 9 of them be utterly deadly, but I go for unit of 6. I was previously running 2 units of 3, but I was finding they were getting wiped out as not being able to make the best use of their reanimation protocols. So I merged the 2 units of 3 into a unit of 6, and they've done a lot better. And it also means when you're playing stratagems and so on, the whole unit's benefiting from the card that's being played. So Tomb Blades then, movement 14, this is one of the quicker units. You need fast, durable units for games of 9th edition, so these fulfill that slot. And the main focus for these is their supporting firepower. So I need a unit that can relocate on the board, move out quickly, and then lay down a blanket of firepower just to help out my Necron gun line. So, that certain point in the game where there's a certain area where there's the main threat from the enemy, you've got your core units trying to deal with them, their firepower can swing in a unit of Tomb Blades and then just land a bit of firepower support just to tip the scales in the Necron's favour. So it's a quick unit that's designed to do that. Similar to the 2 HQ choices I've already talked about, this unit here I've found works best if I can keep it out of trouble on turns, especially turn 1, and then usually on turn 2. So I may not even commit with their firepower on the first or second turn of the game, but then I'll swing them out when the coast is a bit more clear, and then use their firepower. And if they survive through to the end of the game, they become very, very useful, good at getting into the opponent's deployment zone, hunting down units, wiping out units and so on. But if they're wiped out in the first couple of turns of the game, then they have a much less impact on the battle. So I usually try and be quite cautious with them at the start of the game, and you can see that on the battle reports for the Necrons, and then use them more aggressively sort of turn 3 onwards usually. Because I've got other units, I don't want units like this taking the brunt of the opponent's firepower. I want my Necron warriors to be absorbing the damage, which are a lot better at doing, and then these come out later with their firepower. So movement 14, weapon skill and ballistic skill 3+. Their strength 4, their toughness 5, which is really good. They've got 2 wounds each, which is excellent, and a 4-up save for these. So there's a few things to help them out. Evasion engrams, they're -1 to hit, so it's easy to forget that. But whenever your opponent shoots at them, because it's a ranged weapon, then it's -1 to hit rolls. That helps. They've got living metal as well. They've got reanimation protocols, which is excellent, so you can reanimate them. And then they benefit from command protocols, and crucially as well, they're a core choice, so they can benefit from. I have Luminor Xeris in the list. He can restore models onto them. They can be benefited by abilities like My Will Be Done, for example. Very, very useful, giving them +1 to the hit rolls. So those things are all very, very good. I'll talk about upgrades. You've got war gear abilities. We're looking at 25 points each. So 150 points for them as they come. Then their shooting option comes built in. I then pay 3 points. Yeah, I pay 3 points for shield veins. Yes, shield veins here. So that turns them from a 4+ save to a 3+, just to help them out, just to try and keep them alive. So I do that, and then in my current list I have spare points to pay for Shadow Loom, so a 5+ invulnerable save. So if you do get caught out by some very heavy firepower, then just having some kind of invuln save can try and help keep them alive. The key is, even if just one model survives, just to make them survive, and then you can start rebuilding and so on, or roll up your reanimation protocols. But you're trying to avoid the wipeouts, just trying to make them as durable as possible. So that's the abilities. There's one where it ignores cover, but I don't really bother with that one. So I go for the 3+ armor save and the 5+ invuln save. If I need points somewhere else in the list, then I just drop the invuln and take the 3+ armor save. So what loadouts go for firepower? At the start of the codex I started using, I tried out twin Gauss blasters, but the rate of firepower wasn't that great. It's rapid fire 2. So you're getting 12 shots, which is it's not that amazing at all. To get 24 shots, I had to get within rapid fire range 15, which made them a little bit more vulnerable. It does come at AP -2 and 1 damage, so it was okay, but often during the game I found myself firing at the longer range, just getting 12 shots a time, not that impressive at all. Then the other option is the twin Tesla carbine, Assault 4, range 24. That is very good, strength 5, -0 and 1 damage, and any 6s you score is 2 additional hits as well. So if you want to chuck out a lot of firepower, then the twin Tesla carbines is definitely an option to go for. Just there. I'm just going to check to see if you have to pay. You used to have to pay for those. Yeah, you do. Oh, interesting. Right. So you have to pay for the twin Gauss blaster. It's an extra 5 points. Starts to make the unit a bit more expensive. And the same with the twin Tesla carbine as well. It's 5 points on top of that. So the combination I've gone for is to take the default loadout, I think. No, it's twin Gauss blaster. No, I actually swapped them out to particle beamers. And particle beamers cost 0. So you're keeping them at 25 points, 28 points with the shield veins. Keeps their points costs down. So the particle beamer, the downside is the range. It's range 18, which is okay, but you do need to use them at quite close range. But look at this, Assault 6. So unit 6 is now chucking out 36 shots a time. Tons and tons of shots. Strength 5 as well, nice high strength, AP 0 and 1 damage. Now, if I combine this with Mefrit Dynasty, I get plus 3-inch range. Now all of a sudden these become range 21, which is at a much better distance. So I can line up range 21. For example, usually I can line up maybe a core unit Necron warriors in front, Tomb Blades behind, sheltered from charges and so on, and then the opponent's unit 21 inches or a bit closer away. So 21 inches is okay, it's workable, I found in games, and it just means whatever range you're at, it's Assault 6 per model. It's a fantastic amount of shots. If I get to within close range, so range 11.5 inches in my case, I get a bit of AP minus added on top of that as well. I usually combine this with a stratagem, which is the Talent for Annihilation. So you play it on a Mefrit unit from your army. Any 6s to wound is a mortal wound. It's capped at 3, so the max you can score is 3 mortal wounds. But it's a very handy stratagem to play on those because you're getting so many shots. It's very likely you're going to get those 3 6s and make good use of that stratagem. It just means that whatever they're firing at, could even be a vehicle, you could be on 5s to wound, but you get some 6s coming through, you're starting to add mortal wounds onto the damage. And so against any target, you're trying to annihilate a character, tough character with really good invuln save, a vehicle, infantry, whatever it is, just those mortal wounds coming through just makes them that much more potent. So that's the combination I go for. It's quite unique. Be interesting to hear if anyone else goes to that combination as well. It works better with Mefrit Dynasty. By all means, if you have a different combo for these, I'd love to hear what other combinations you go for. I would imagine the twin Tesla carbines do work really well. Range 24 assault force, 6 is popping extra hits. It's almost, with those 6s, it's almost popping comparable rate of firepower to the particle beam with just a better range. So it could be something worth going for in the future. 24 shots you're gonna get, yeah, it's pretty good. That's the other thing I was going to mention. There are core units, they can be blessed by My Will Be Done, so all of a sudden you can give them 2+ ballistic skill, making their firepower even more deadly. So that's the Tomb Blades here, my third choice here for my 5 Necron units that should be in your army. Okay, so moving on, we've talked a lot about command. A decent firepower support unit that I can swing in and provide a blanket of firepower, torrent of firepower against a specific target. Great for mopping up, swinging around and grabbing objectives. I try and keep them away, resist the urge of swinging them out and grabbing an objective early on in the game. They get blown off the objective. It's quite straightforward to do that, and then I've lost them. So I've found them more effective. I've been a bit more patient with them and hang them back, tuck them away behind obscuring terrain, then swing them out a bit later on in the game. Next, close combat. The unit that's going to support in close combat. So it's number 2, Skorpekh Destroyers. A massive fan of these. When these get into close combat, they are brutal in close combat. So I've got one model. I'll get the unit. I run a unit of 6. So unit of 6. With the Indomitus box set, you get 3. So you'd need two lots of these from the Indomitus box set. There's the up one. Unit of 6, like so. A brilliant concept from Games Workshop, fantastic unit. Visually superb. They're a joy to paint up, build, and they just look so good on the battlefield. So yeah, very exciting times for Necrons to have units like this, and they pack a mean punch. Now we'll run through the basic stat line for these. Yeah, they're 35 points each. I think it's a bargain for what you get. We'll talk about how I use them in games as well, most effectively. So the movement 8, they're actually quite quick on for being infantry. Yeah, they're infantry keyword. Weapon skill 3+, ballistic skill 3+, strength 5, toughness 5. Toughness 5 is very, very useful. 3 wounds, nice bit of damage absorption with them. 3 attacks as base, which is excellent. A 3-up save. You can take, I've maxed out, it's units of 6. So talk about unit size. I found that a unit of 3 just doesn't pack too much of a mean punch. A unit of 4 still not that great. A unit of 5 is much better, and a lot of players will go for 5 just to avoid blast. But I have found you start taking a few casualties, you get knocked down to the smaller size. So I've found that unit 6 works the best for me. So I do max them out at a unit of 6, and just blast isn't as common as you think, I've found in games. So I take the unit of 6. 210 points for a unit of 6 of them. You're expecting them to chomp through targets. The best way to deliver them is to deliver them at full strength if you can. So I'll try and use them cautiously, similar to the Tomb Blades. It's a unit I don't usually want to stick right out in front of the army, because I know the opponent's going to go after them. So I'll try and tuck them away and then try and bring them into play at a middle, later point in the game. But once that charge goes off and they get in, there's trouble for whatever target they go against. Weapons, I've covered all of that. So what you've got here, for every 3 models, one of them is equipped with the Hyperphase Reap Blade. That's the 2-handed option, just on here. And if you like the look of the Necrons, by the way, there is a Necron painting tutorial on the channel. I'll show you how to paint Necron Warrior. You can search for it. There's a search tab on the channel here. Just type in Necron painting tutorial and it will show you. There's 2 actually. There's an older one for Necron Warriors. There's also where I paint the Skorpekh Lord, the new model. That's one of the more recent painting tutorials, and you can follow that. I'll show you how to do the basing, how to prepare the model, rust washes, how to paint all this neon glowing blades and so on. That's all covered in that video. So some good resources for the Necrons here in the form of painting tutorials. Now, 1 in 3 equipped with the Reap Blade. So with that, you're getting +2 strength. So you're fighting at strength 7, AP -4, and 3 damage. So fantastic weapon. No minuses to the hit rolls. Brilliant. Then the Hyperphase Thresher, that's the two-handed option. Here, you're getting strength of the user, which is still strength 5, AP -3, and 2 damage. Real Primaris butchers. You get an extra attack with that as well, so all of a sudden you get 4 attacks. You've got Hardwire for Destruction, so they've got a built-in reroll 1's ability, so that is excellent. They don't need any buffs from other units nearby, they're going to get that built in, so it's rerolling your hit rolls with 1. So 3s to hit rerolling 1s is very, very reliable in close combat. So they're a real sledgehammer of attacks, and especially if you can deliver them in good strength, so at full strength for maybe 1 or 2 casualties, it's well worth going for. So often in games, I'll use them. Initially I'll hide them away, I don't want them being picked on or reduced in strength, and then I'll bring them out as a supporting unit for the gun line, so that Necron warriors absorb most of the damage. Then if a big threat moves in, I'll send these out as a counter punch, and then after they've done that counter punch, usually they just let loose to rampage and press on at the enemy battle line. And or other times I will have to deploy aggressively with them and just go for it straight away, maybe accompanied by Tamra, for example, Tomb Blades if they need a bit of firepower support, they can move up the board. There is a very good stratagem for them, Whirling Onslaught it's called. I've used it, started to use it a lot in games. So it's -1 to the wound rolls, and that can really help keep these alive. That's for shooting or close combat. So for example, Primaris Marines firing their bolt rifles at them, 5s to wound, play that stratagem. 6s to wound just really cuts down the chances of causing wounds. So there's one thing I add to these, and I think it's well worth the points, and that is a little mini one of these, a plasma sight. So he has to hang around with the unit. If he drifts off or is left behind, he's destroyed. So he's got to hang around with them. Plasma sight's just down here. And really it's this infused madness. So once per turn, at the start of either your charge phase or the fight phase. So either you're going to be rolling this before the unit charges. So if your target's over here, you've got to try and remember to roll this up first to activate this infused madness, to bless them before they make the charge move. Because if they end up all the way over here, and they're too far away from him, then you're going to lose out on the bonus. So I try to remember. It's easily forgotten, but try and remember to activate. You want to charge with these, activate him first of all. Or sometimes you'll charge at targets here and you charge in and you can trace back to him, no problem. Or you'll have to charge him in as well to make sure that he grants the bonus. You can do it that way because you can do it at the start of the fight phase after all charges are done. So, but usually the best way I've found is to give the blessing first of all and then make the charge. So you're rolling here, you're rolling a dice. It's destroy KOYO in 3 inches, you see, so it's close. So it's best to activate that before they make their move. Roll dice, on roll of a 1, you lose a model. Regardless of the result, at the end of the turn, add 1 to the strength. You get +1 strength. So these freshers, for example, now strength 6. And the Hyperphase Reap Blade, quite crucially, strength 8 in total. Very useful against tougher targets, toughness 8, toughness 7. And then on top of that, you get an extra attack as well. And for a large unit of 6, another 6 attacks, 3s to hit, rerolling 1s is very, very welcome. And I've often found it means that they've charged into a tough target, and instead of reducing it down to a few models left that cause trouble, they just wipe the target out, destroy the vehicle entirely, just with the help of him. So Plasma Sight, I've found, is well worth the points to add to those. So that's the combination I usually go for. Plasma Sight, 6, Skorpekh, destroys. 210 points and 15 with the Plasma Sight as an option to be added on. So that's my second choice here. Very much rate those. Keep a lookout for them in the games, and you'll see them doing well when they're held back and committed at the right point, doing badly when they're picked on early on the game, reduced down in size or wiped out by enemy firepower. So I know they're one of my more valuable units I need to protect. So my number 1 choice is the humble Necron warrior. So many reasons. Here, I'll bring out the full unit that I run. One of the units that almost made it in was the Hex Mark, but not quite. We've had him at number 6. But Necron warriors So, you know, when we're putting top 5 unit choices together, you can be tempted to go for the biggest and nastiest of units, but I'm sure a lot of Necron players will agree they couldn't do without their Necron warriors. So resculpted by Games Workshop, which I thought the original Necron warriors, the plastic ones with the glowing pipes, are fantastic models, but these are superior. They're brilliantly sculpted. Absolutely superb models. So again, released with the Indomitus box set. There's a fair bit to cover on these. There's a lot of good Tactica available for Necron warriors, with tricks to help them do well. But we'll cover it all here in this video. So, looking something like that. So they look so impressive, just this marching legion. The sculpting work is superb. You've got cracks and dents in their armour, wires and so on hanging down. You've got this hunched zombie kind of look to them. Just the sculpting work on these models is absolutely superb. So very happy to get these painted up. I've got 2 units of 20 in my current Necron list. So it's between 10, the minimum is 10, and you can go up to 20. Units of 10, see the idea of Necrons, you want a unit that's going to absorb damage and then be able to repair itself again and keep the reanimation protocols going. So smaller units tend to get picked off and you've lost the ability to resurrect models. So first off, highly recommend you go for full squads of 20. 15's okay, but 20, just the more you take, the higher the chances of keeping the unit alive and stopping the dreaded wipeout, which then prevents any reanimation protocols or restoring models back to play. So I go for 2 full squads of 20. It's 260 points. This is a key unit for my force. So movement 5, with characters nearby you can move up to movement 6. They'll keep up with standard infantry units that are out there. Weapon skill 3+, ballistic skill 3+, strength 4, toughness 4, 1 win, 1 attack, leadership 10, and a 4+ armor save. So in cover, you can increase their armor to a 3+. There's a protocol which is sort of your default play out on turn 1. If the opponent goes first, as your whole army that's in range of the HQ choices gets light cover, so 3+ again to help try and keep them alive. You can help keep them alive by using Canoptic Reanimator, which has dropped in points cost now. So their reanimation protocols, instead of a 5+ becomes 4+. If the beam is pointed towards them, that helps. With Necron warriors, they get to re-roll their reanimation protocols of 1. That can be very, very helpful just to help add a few more models in. Because the way reanimation protocols works, your enemy unit fires, brings down 6. 6 of them destroyed. You then, after that unit's finished firing at them, you then do your reanimation protocols, and let's say that 3 get back up. Then the next unit has to fire at them, and they bring some models down. When they finished, you then do your reanimation protocols again, and let's say 2 get back up. So it's a real grinding process. Every time a unit fires, there's models getting up all the time. And so this is one of the massive strength of Necron warriors, is that the opponent just has to go unit by unit by unit, trying to get through. And every time a unit finishes, models just keep getting back up again and again and again. So damage absorption is a huge thing, and that's why I stick these out at the front deliberately. This is the main target for the opponent. He's welcome to shoot at those, and he can kill 15 of them if he wants to. But if I'm constantly reanimating units or reanimating models, then all that damage that's being done is just being reversed with the reanimation protocols. I'll have Illuminor Xerus nearby, restoring D3 models per turn. And then I've got the command barge carrying the resurrection orb. So if a unit really takes a battering, I'll just try and resurrect by rolling up for all of the destroyed models to restore them to play. So it can be infuriating for the opponent. You've got these large block units to try and break through, but you kind of force the opponent to do that. I keep my other more valuable units tucked away and just let the brunt of the firepower come in against the Necron warriors. They're obviously troops, they can swarm over objectives. And then for 9th edition, I need to go aggressive. So these will be pushing forwards and advancing, and with the help of the warden, if they do find themselves tapped out in close combat, the warden can help them pull back, shoot and charge with his ability. So him with my Necron warriors is like a vital combination to try and help these out, to make them tactically flexible. Because one of the downsides, it's happened in previous codexes and so on, Necron warriors get tapped out in close combat and all of a sudden that firepower disappears. But with him, you can afford to go aggressive, and you can compensate if you are contacted in close combat. You can actually catch your opponent out. He charges in, really good close combat unit. They kill some of the Necron warriors, some get back up. On the next turn, you pull them all back, reanimate models, bless them with my will be done, and then just let loose of a point blank range volley at the unit that charged them, directed by him, and you can cause massive trouble. So that's the way I use my Necron warriors. The combination I go for is I need some long range firepower, but because I'm playing aggressive, I need to cause damage at close range as well. So I go for a 50-50 split. 10 of them equipped with Gor's Flayers, 10 of them equipped with the Gor's Reapers. So the Gor's Flayers for me, range 24, range 27 from Efrit Dynasty, rapid fire 1. If I get to within range 13 and a half inches, then I get the extra shot, rapid fire, I get 2 shots, strength 4, bit of AP -1. If I get to within a half inch or half range for the weapon, from Efrit Dynasty, get an extra AP -1 on top of that, so AP -2. And then the Gor's Reaper, range 12, and then crucially from Efrit Dynasty becomes range 15. So nice range on that. Assault 2, so guaranteed 2 shots. Strength 5, which is very, very useful indeed against like toughness 4 infantry, or toughness 5 infantry. AP -2, or if I get to in range 7.5, it's AP -3, which is ridiculous. And that's when it can become deadly, when you're pulling out a close combat. Just let loose of a volley which can be utterly deadly. You've got 20 shots from these, 10 shots at long range, another 20 or 20 at close range for them. So their firepower can be deadly, and so really that's their strength. You want to keep them firing every turn, don't want them getting bogged down in close combat and so on. So again, that's where the Warden comes in to help the Necron warriors out. So that's all the tactics I think of for these here. You can use them as an ambush unit. You can take a relic called, it's not on that, you don't give it to that unit, it has to go on to a character, Veil of Darkness. So the bearer, let's say he's got it, Veil of Darkness, himself and a core unit within 3 inches, removed from the table and then relocated. I think it's done at the end of the movement phase, or in your movement phase. So he can jump with units. So great for ambushing. Bring middle stage of the game, just relocate across the board, or at the very start of the battle if you need to move up the table quickly, just jump right ahead and use that straight away. And you're going to catch the opponent out with that firepower and just let loose of a deadly volley, especially from a larger unit like 20 Necron warriors. Yeah, Veil of Darkness is very, very powerful, very good choice to have in the list. So what's popular with Necron players is like 2, often 3 units of 20 of these, just to make a real block. It looks fantastic on the table to see 3 blocks of 20 Necron warriors. It's a proper marching legion, just looks fantastic. So a very impressive sight for sure, and tactically, a very, very useful unit. So in games, if you watch the battle reports, you'll see these working hard, taking damage. They keep pressing on. The opponent just plows so much effort into them. They get damaged and damaged and damaged, but the idea is they're absorbing that damage that would have been directed against other targets, and just relentless march from the Necron warriors. And so I hope perhaps that's swayed you to think more highly of them. If you do think highly of Necron warriors, then leave it in the comment section. I know they're very popular amongst Necron players, but they are a potent unit for sure. Blistering firepower, damage absorption from them is superb, and then with the help of things like Wardens, Veil of Darkness and so on, then you can actually make the unit a very great tactical asset to have in your army as well. So that's my top 5. These 5 units here are superb. Tamra, the Warden, just a little HQ choice, but his ability just has such an impact on the game. Tomb Blades, their mobile firepower, with the combination I've gone for, I've just found to be excellent. And then Skorpekh Destroyers, absolutely brutal in close combat, absolute sledgehammer when they make it in at full strength. And then finally, my top choice, Necron Warriors, superb resculpt from Games Workshop, look fantastic in larger units, firepower can be deadly, and with help from units like the Warden, my will be done being granted by Necron Overlords and so on, they are a deadly firepower based unit as well. That's my top 5. Leave your own top 5 if you want to in the comment section below. If you disagree with some of my choices, or you have different combinations that you go for, different strategies, relics, and combinations, then leave that in the comment section as well. That's the video here for the Necrons. Keep a look out for more of these top 5 videos. Thanks for watching, and tune in next time.